It does take time for the mortal to understand the real depth of the Agation movement.
This is Dr. Navajo coming through
And yet,
the
as we
medium
have
Richard
said to
Zetter.
you repeatedly, that it was not our desire to impress you that it be the most significant in the overall picture of your advancement, but most certainly it is at this particular stage of your growth. We realize that the average person entering would not be in a position to understand what is back of the Agation movement. For the many of us, as we assemble here over a period of time, take it as a matter of fact. You come to know the various ones who manifest from time to time, and often regard them as though they existed upon earth. This is good. We want you to understand that as we're on one side of the veil that is wearing very thin, you as well as ourselves be as comrades. As we take it away to pierce that veil so that we can more easily receive the messages and the many things that we are desirous to bring to your attention, as well as we want to observe and learn in these modern times things that concern you as an individual. It is an impossibility from a mortal standpoint to immediately see the overall picture of the Agation movement. A third of you sitting here tonight have been attending the classes for a long period of time. And as we tried to impress you with the fact that it is a perpetual class, and the method of training, drilling, is conducive to your unfoldment and help to bring forth these many things that be needful in your particular life. Here recently, Agation had endeavored to impress you also that we are, at this time in the Western world, building a foundation that is substantial and will be all the more substantial as we continue with Agation and working with our teachers. The few of you then here in the Western world who have the opportunity to assemble and to hear the clarifications and the many statements that Agation makes from class to class, as it tends to awaken the God kingdom, the infinite state, so that you can more easily understand everything that transpires in and around and about you, and especially in reference to the cataclysmic forces and the many things that take place in different parts of the world. If then we act as the nucleus here, if we then are the center, and if we as individuals, and it would be right for us to think, as we advance ourselves, that it is a pity that so few of us have the opportunity. This is Agasha's method. For he knows, in dealing with mortals, the limitations. He also knows the limitations that we might likely put on our teachers. And for these mortal reasons, and as he had sought out a program to employ, as he would put it, the program that would be conducive to your unfoldment and to awaken the most who attended these classes, then you can understand that when you refer to posterity, you're referring to it in this manner, that millions over a period of time stemming from this particular group, organization, will enable indeed these millions to have the key to their unfoldment, to derive the most out of their material and their spiritual life. Now, this is not a strange statement to make, nor is it impossible for us to believe that it would extend in the manner that a guide at this stage of our growth is informing us. Since we know it simmers down to a small group of people who be ready, and as it takes a very strong individual to stay on the path, although they had been exposed to the truth, we realize then this foundation today, and very carefully sought out by Augustine, planned indeed on this side of life, in his conscience of immensity, to bring this message to the world in such a very nice and a very, very cautious way that it's not going to go by the four winds, as we might say, or that it shall not live, for it shall live indeed. For here is where we have the clarification and the adjusting of many things that needed to be corrected as we seek to understand the many things that we had previously embraced, the many theories that we had discussed or we had embraced. If then the purpose of the Geist movement in these latter days, prior to the completion of the cycle, then this accounts for the slow process, we might say, that we had been going through to become that strong individual, not only to build character, but to derive all the more out of our material life. We have a better understanding as to the manifestation of spirit. We understand of the phenomena that had transpired during time, whether it be Jesus or any other person of high standing of his or her time. When a guide takes you back in history, it is primarily to arouse the inner kingdom, for he feels perfectly safe that in so doing that he's going to reach you, and that he's going to arouse you sufficiently to understand the simple statement, for it is understandable here. Although we train academically, and we are well trained in our particular line of endeavor, yet the simple statements can be made and can certainly be misconstrued, precisely the same as we might endeavor to understand the language, the terminologies, and in reference to the particular way of phrasing the particular sentence, we're all going to see the picture differently. But since the guy has said it has to be mathematically correct, it must be exact. There can be no longer a speculation in this direction. Then you and I, as an individual who be privileged to listen, know then the real worth of the assembly, and having sufficient evidence from time to time in your material life that you are receiving help, and that you will continue to receive help as long as you stay on the path and try not to violate God's law. This then will account for the